How to use our crypto trading signals to call market tops and bottoms.
I think we really had made an excellent discovery with that because it's not something anyone else is talking about. And so if I come back in here just to show you, I need more data on this, but that green early reversal indicator only triggers at market bottoms. I was one of the few people saying, and I forecasted 16.5 would be the low all the way back here in May at the Bitcoin conference. There was a guy named Dylan LeClaire did an hour-long private session for the whales. I had a whale pass, and it was a room full of the kind of best Bitcoin investors at the conference. And he spent a whole hour on chain metrics saying and showing why Bitcoin would not go below 30,000, right? So clearly, he was mistaken there, and I rose my hand at the end of that session. Wish I could get a video of that. And I said, kind of looked around. Nobody else see. Everyone seemed smug and comfortable about the 30K level. Probably a few of them were in there buying more. But I said, what would you say to people like me that think we're going below 20? And he sort of smirked and smiled and scoffed a little bit and said, well, I just covered why I don't think that's going to happen. And of course, I got a couple dirty looks from the whales saying, who let that guy in here? Well, that was back here in May, and right here around May 19th. And sure enough, we did go back down below 20. And I actually had publicly put on my Facebook back May 19th that we'll go to 16.5. So a little bit of luck here. I thought we might go to 14, but we did dip down to 15 and change. But really, we spent a lot of time around that, a couple months around that 16.5 level. At any rate, where I was firmly bullish, and I was saying get in the markets back here, and when we launched our M3 Active Trader class, but here this big green candle and the ERI really was enough. If I go back and show more data, this is only fired 4 times on the monthly time frame, and always at or near the bottom. The new version of the ERI Pro, by the way, these light green boxes, I'll just turn off the other ones and we'll tell you about what they are. The light green boxes, this is money flow, where a lot of money had come in really to confirm this institutional buy and reversal, okay? And what I haven't seen and much of is it going below those levels. See, and watch for this. See, this is actual money flow, where a lot of money came in and bought. And money flow is very important in trading. The midpoint of these boxes and even the tops have held very well. And so because these big players want to protect their profits and their positions, typically the midpoint on these vector candles will refill. So let me just grab a trend line, and just because once you see it, you can't unsee it. Anytime you see a big candle like this, typically it's called a fair value gap, and typically the market makers will come back to retest that. And so right inside of our money flow block, look at that. That was the exact low back in Jan 23, December 2022, this whole region, right at that level. Going forward, we'll definitely be watching for these. And so let's just go forward a little bit. I don't want to do that. Let me grab this button here. So similarly, up here on this level, on this big candle here, what did we see? Came right down and retested that, right down around 52K, happened to be right in the middle of that money flow buy block. Interesting, isn't it? So even if you did nothing else and you had these buy blocks, these money flow buy blocks, so you'd be well ahead of the game, as well as these green arrows. Like I said, on a monthly time frame, if you wanted to only do that and buy when this monthly green candle goes green on the arrow, you'd be doing very well. The sell signal did trigger on the monthly here, and we also had it on the weekly, which called it back in this area. So you want to pay attention to those as well. So where are we right now? I don't want to spend too much time on this, but look at that again. Big buy block at the vector candle middle holding. Guys, the bottom's in. We're not going lower. People are waiting for a sub 50K, sub 70K Bitcoin. I don't think so. I really don't think so. And the whole sell in May and go away is not supported by data. So be careful with that one. And I do spend a lot of time looking around, see what people are saying. So this morning, opinions vary widely. Raoul Pal, of course, talking about his banana zone, and certainly this pullback would fit that narrative that we're about to really push up higher much faster. And a lot of the macros suggest that as well. M2 global money supply and another of other factors. He has an interesting study called the ISM. It has something to do with manufacturing in the U.S. Also, Bitcoin follows that. So, but also on the other side, there is something we're going to look at. We'll dive into it more detail tomorrow in the M3 class. That a little troubling. The stochastics RSI on that monthly time frame is getting into a danger zone. But this is where we need the tiebreaker, which is the crypto mastery signals. So while you're here, and if you're new and you haven't seen those yet, do go over, click this link, make sure you have it, and you can look at this. Let's see, I need to not use my mouth to try to type here, cryptomastery.org/pro. If you go to just .org, I think it'll redirect you, and we will pull those up in a minute. But if you want an edge in these markets, not to be salesy, this is self-serving. I'm doing a disservice to you guys by not pushing this harder because these signals have given us the edge. And those of you in the M3 active trader, you know, and it's a suite of indicators that each has its own unique properties, like the rocket, which is another accidental discovery. Over the 20 years I've been trading, there's a certain pattern, a certain candle pattern that I noticed that to me looks like a bottle rocket, and all you have to do is light the fuse, hence the name the rocket. We're going to start seeing some more of those, and typically, not always, but a large percentage of the time, they shoot up quickly. It's an excellent swing trade opportunity. And then, of course, we know when to sell. We know when to sell because we have our own crypto version of Bollinger Bands. Most Bollinger Bands off the shelf, they don't work for crypto. You need to change the setting in there to make them sort of work, but we've done it a little bit better and color coded it, and I'll play with that in a minute. So if you're new and you're like, I don't know when to buy and sell, we got you covered. Just go over to cryptomastery.org and make sure you have these. You can do a monthly, and I believe there's an annual. The lifetime is gone, you guys. The lifetime option no longer available. All right, so and part of the reason is the merchant accounts don't like those lifetime things. So those of you who got it, good job. I would still get that monthly. I think there is a free trial if you guys want it. Ask me in the chat. All right, but here's a visual on these. I know it might look a little daunting at first, but it's so much. These are so much easier and visually appeasing than a lot of the signals. You guys have seen the charts where somebody throws up a whole lot of spaghetti and you just have no idea what's going on. We've all seen those, and they don't work any better. I like simplicity. So regardless of what level of trader you are, investor, you're going to want to have these in your arsenal. So we'll be going through some of these today, and I'll be interjecting some alpha as well. All right, I need to get out of full screen mode to hop back over to that chart and finish off that point. So do you guys get this? This tells me the winds of bullishness are behind us, very much so on the monthly time frame. We have that money flow, and now we did have a little bearish divergence. I was a little worried back then on that monthly, but that weekly is starting to look so good. We had this turning green here. We're solidly heading higher still on the trend strength indicator, and this is what we want to see, multiple weeks up in these ranges where we can really be hitting all new all-time highs. Now here's what's important and powerful: when the daily and weekly align, what we want to see is the trend strength indicator going up on both the daily and the weekly. So we started to see this turn and go green here 2 weeks ago. You guys in M3, you remember. And I'm like, this is looking good. We're probably going to pull back a little bit on the daily first because that was overbought. Sure enough, we're doing that. So what do we want to see, you guys? In the next few days, I think coming into the end of the week, if not sooner, we're going to see something like this. And we're going to power up higher. There are always mitigating factors. There's some tensions with China, Taiwan, but how many times have you heard me say, show me the charts, I'll tell you the news? Hey, this is Brett from Moonstream. If you'd like to learn more about our pro trading signals or our live classes every Wednesday or our Retire Rich program, go over to moonstream.io/start.